Good afternoon, everyone. We're just going to give a moment for folks to join us. All right. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us to discuss FAFSA completion and strategies for supporting all high school seniors to complete their college financial aid applications. I am Dia Bryant, the Executive Director of the EdTrust-New York. We are a nonprofit advocacy group that is dedicated to eliminating gaps in equity and opportunity that hold too many students back from reaching their full potential, from early childhood all the way through college. For the past 4 years, our organization has released resources and tools to help increase the percent of high school seniors in New York State who complete their FAFSA, TAP, and other financial aid for college applications. Our resources include a high school toolkit with strategies to support high schools in helping all students complete their applications. And just last month, we re-released our FAFSA completion tracker, which allows users to track FAFSA completion rates for schools across New York. And we announced the 2022 New York FAFSA Challenge, which will recognize schools for high FAFSA completion rates and improvements in their FAFSA completion rates. More to come on the FAFSA Challenge at the end of our program today. But we're here today to discuss the significant gaps in FAFSA completion rates that we found in our analysis of completion rates at the end of February. Even as high schools across New York return to in-person schooling this year, FAFSA completion rates continue to lag behind pre-pandemic levels, particularly at schools that serve the largest shares of students from low-income backgrounds. Statewide, the FAFSA completion rate at the end of February was down 1 percentage point from the same time last year and 5 percentage points from the end of February 2020, before the pandemic forced schools to go into remote learning. Among schools that serve the largest shares of students from low-income backgrounds, the FAFSA completion rate is down 8 percentage points from February 2020. These numbers are alarming since we know that access to financial aid is crucial for so many young people to realize their dream of higher education. We hope that today's event will inspire ideas and action. And this afternoon, we're actually excited to have an amazing group of policymakers, practitioners, and even students join us to discuss how we can better support New York students and their families in accessing financial aid for college. Before I introduce our first speaker, I'd like to run through a little bit of logistics for our time together. We'll have 2 sessions for Q&A. If you have a question, please use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen and submit the question. Our team will monitor the questions and make sure that one of our panelists or someone answers you. Please also feel free to use the chat function to introduce yourselves and chat. We're recording this session as well, and we'll have an opportunity to share that with you next week. I am now thrilled to introduce the Honorable Assembly Member, Jonathan Jacobson. Assemblymember Jacobson represents District 104 along the Hudson Valley. He recently introduced legislation to help increase FAFSA completion rates around New York State. Assemblymember Jacobson, thank you so much for joining us.
All right, can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Very good. So I'm just excited that to learn about this organization and hope that you can help me and others of like-minded people in New York State to make FAFSA a requirement for high school graduation, which my bill does. So did you want me to speak now? I didn't know if this was in. I can wait a little bit, whatever you want to do.
It's all you. Let's hear about why you did this, why you think it's important, and how we all can support.
Okay. Hold on 1 second here. I've got too many. I was on 2 different screens. And I got too many things open here, so just give me a second and I'll be right there. Well, as all of you know, when students apply for financial aid, they have to apply and use the FAFSA form. That's the free application for federal student aid. And so this is a form that is, for some people, they just put it off. They don't like forms. And they think that every form that you have is like is a IRS form, and they just don't want to do it. But what we've learned is that when students complete this form, the chances of their going to college increase exponentially. So what this bill will do, and the bill number is A361. And what this bill will do is that it will require notice to all seniors about FAFSA and require the students to either complete and submit the form or complete a waiver stating that the student understands what FAFSA is and has chosen not to file an application. The bill also creates a requirement for high schools to notify students at least 4 times a year about state-sponsored scholarships, financial aid, and other available assistance. And this has been proven throughout the United States. And if students complete this form, once it's done, then they'll want to apply for school. And a little bit of what comes first, the chicken or the egg. Most students are not going to be able to afford to go to school unless they get financial aid, but you can't get financial aid unless you fill out the FAFSA form. And so what this bill will do is that, well, let me just back up a second and say that in states such as in Louisiana, beginning in the 2017 to 2018 school year, Louisiana required students to complete FAFSA. The state now leads the nation with 79% of its high school seniors completing the application, compared to only 44% in 2013. And I think that we can achieve the same in New York, and I'm really hoping that you will use your network and help us gain momentum coming on. The bill would also make sure that the schools assist students and their parents in filling out these forms. I mean, the forms aren't simple, particularly if you're not used to these kind of things, but it's nothing that can't be done. If the guidance counselors are on board, if the guidance counselors and others help out the students. And I'm really excited that I'm here on this webinar, and hopefully we'll get help from all of you that we can make this bill a reality. Now, even though this bill sounds so simple and so logical, and because it does, you would think that, boy, this would be easy. You would think this would be easy. But we're dealing with the state education bureaucracy. And the state education bureaucracy doesn't like to hear about things they have to do, things that they're not doing now, and more requirements. They will make so many excuses why they shouldn't do it or why they can't do it. So I think our attitude going into this, when we talk to people, when we talk to educational leaders throughout New York State, the attitude should be not can we do this, but how can we do this? And this is a very simple bill that will enable us to be able to accomplish this very important goal. So I look forward to listening, and I look forward to finding out how you can help us achieve this and get this bill over the finish line.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Jacobson, for your leadership on this critical issue. And you are right that states like Louisiana and Texas are seeing record-breaking FAFSA completion as a result of making this a part of the high school experience. And we're looking forward to working with you and your team in the coming months to continue to support the students of New York. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd now like to introduce EdTrust-New York's incredible research and policy analysis team. These two women are brilliant, and I consider myself incredibly privileged to work with them every day. Today, they're going to present to us a very short presentation on the results of their FAFSA completion analysis that we released last month. Priyanka Kaura is our Senior Research and Policy Analyst, and Casey Nguyen is our Research and Policy Analyst at the EdTrust-New York. As a reminder, please use the Q&A function for any questions that may come up during their presentation, and we'll have time at the end for questions after their presentation is complete. Casey and Priyanka, it's all you.
Thank you so much, Dia. We're excited to share with you some of the findings from our analysis of FAFSA completion rates. When we went into this analysis, what we were really looking to do is understand how FAFSA completion rates across New York State have changed this year and how they have changed since before the pandemic. So if you can advance to the next slide, please. Thank you. Our first finding is that FAFSA completion rates are down statewide since before the pandemic. This chart here shows end of February completion rates, which are an average of all schools across New York State from the end of February. And what we see here is that this year, in February 2022, FAFSA completion rates were down by about 1 percentage point since last year, and about 5 percentage points since February 2020 before school closures due to the pandemic. So this trend is, this trend is worrying because we see that overall FAFSA completion rates continue to drop. However, there are some nuances with this data, and I'd like to turn it over to Casey to dive into some more detail.
Advancing to the next slide. Thank you. Thanks, Priyanka. So in finding 2, we see significant gaps widened since before the pandemic, particularly for schools serving students from low-income backgrounds. This slide looks at completion rates over 4 years within the same time frame as the last slide. First, we'll take a look at the top line, which represents schools serving the smallest share of students who are low income. That's anywhere between 0 to 20%. This line has remained relatively flat over the course of 4 years. And then that's the blue line. And then we'll next take a look at the orange line, which is at the bottom. And this line represents schools serving the largest share of students who are low income. And that's anywhere more than 80%. This line is more volatile, and we see the biggest drop of about 5% from 2019 to 2022. Another thing we wanted to point out is that the gap between the schools serving the largest share and schools serving the smallest share of low-income students have remained wide year over year. Right, advancing to the next slide, please. Thank you. Great, and so in finding 3, we see that some regions' completion rates are higher than this time last year's, while others are lower. For example, completion rates in the Mid-Hudson Capital Region in New York City and Southern Tier regions have increased as of 2022, of March of 2022, while other regions have decreased. Central New York experienced the biggest decrease in completion rates year over year, while Southern Tier has experienced the biggest increase in completion rates from March of last year. Okay, and now we're going to open it back up for Q&A and welcome Dia back to the conversation.
Thanks, Casey. Our next group of speakers have extensive experience in our schools and with college financial aid applications. First, I'd like to introduce Dr. Guimero Linares. Dr. Linares is the president of New York's Higher Education Services Corporation, also known as HESC. In addition to administering New York's TAP application and the New York State DREAM Act Awards, HESC has been leading a lot of the exciting work to support students and families with college financial aid applications, and we are so happy to partner with them on this and other things. Dr. Linares, welcome, and I will turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bryan. It's really a pleasure to join the panel. And Assemblymember Jacobson, nice to see you. I know that I believe we were separated by 1 year serving in the Assembly. I left in 16, you came in 19, so thank you for your leadership. It is my sincere privilege joining you today and an honor to partner with the Education Trust on many fronts. As president of HESC, I'm privileged to help carry out Governor Kathy Hochul's vision for all New Yorkers and to work towards our shared goal to help New York students realize their dream of a higher education. My life's work has focused on improving access to public education, and as a first-generation college student and a native of the Dominican Republic who came to New York as a teenager, I know firsthand the profound impact a college education can have. A college education can help close equity gaps and accelerate upward mobility, especially among minority populations. HESC is New York State Higher Education Financial Aid Agency, and our mission is to help put post-secondary education within reach for more New York State students by helping them access the financial aid dollars for which they are eligible. HESC administers 27 programs and awards nearly $1 billion in financial aid awards to more than 330,000 college-going students through programs such as New York State TAP Grant, New York's largest grant program, the Excelsior Scholarship, which covers tuition for eligible SUNY and CUNY students whose families' earnings are $125,000 or less, the Enhanced Tuition Award that enables students attending private college to receive financial assistance to complete their degree, and a myriad of other scholarships and loan forgiveness programs. This financial aid assistance makes education after high school more attainable, especially among disadvantaged populations who face financial inequities that are barriers to an education beyond high school. As you all know, there is a strong correlation between FAFSA completion rates and post-secondary rates. That is post-secondary enrollment rates. But still, approximately 50% of New York's high school seniors complete the FAFSA as of March 18th. So why don't students complete the FAFSA, which is a critical first step in helping them receive financial aid from a number of resources? When a student doesn't complete a FAFSA, it's likely to mean one of two things. Either they, for one, don't need it, or don't think that they will qualify for financial support. Or two, they are not educated or informed of the benefits of or process to complete the FAFSA. While we can hope it is number one, we know the reality that schools with higher poverty rates have lower FAFSA completion rates. So what is HESC doing to help inform students and their families and boost FAFSA completion rates in New York and help students toward their path to a higher education? I'm very proud of the work that HESC is doing to ensure more students take that first step by completing their FAFSA. We have a small but mighty team of outreach specialists who focus is to educate and inform students and their parents on the resources available and support educators and academic partners who are a major influence on these students. Specifically, we are partnering with school districts throughout New York State on data sharing through the FAFSA Completion Initiative to help schools utilize important information that will enable them to focus on students who haven't yet completed their FAFSA. We know that navigating the financial aid process is tricky. HESC hosts virtual events that explain the different financial aid available, help students prepare for college, and provide students with one-on-one help completing their FAFSA and New York State Tuition Assistance Program application. This support enables students who struggle with completing their applications to get over to the finish line. In addition, we also have a number of other valuable resources available to support students and their parents. Our events and resources can be found on our website at hesc.ny.gov. I encourage you to share this information with students and families you support. It is our job as educators, public servants, policymakers, and advocates to help develop New York's next generation of leaders, and the support, guidance, and encouragement we offer to our students can make all the difference. Thank you for making a difference. Again, it is my privilege to join you today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Linares. We are so ever grateful for your partnership and the partnership at HESC to ensure that we are getting students not just to, but through college. So really appreciate you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, I'd like to introduce some of the most important people in this work. As we all know, guidance counselors are absolutely critical supports for students and families. And I think that during the pandemic, this has been even more true given some of the things that our students and teachers have experienced. Today, we are going to talk to Danielle Ariz. She's a school guidance counselor at Humanities and Arts Magnet High School in Queens, New York. Like many other schools, Humanities and Arts encountered many challenges helping their students with FAFSA completion during the pandemic. When they returned to school in person this year, they ramped up their efforts to help students complete the forms. As a result, about 70% of seniors at her school have already completed the FAFSA forms. They're surpassing their completion rates for last year as well. I am grateful and so excited that Danielle has been able to join us today, and I look forward to hearing more about her work. Danielle?
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so grateful to have a voice in today's conversation and to share some of the goodies that we have been lucky enough to come upon at this school to be able to get these rates up as high as they are. I want to talk first about it being a real team effort. I definitely cannot do this work solo. This is not a one-man show. I am fortunate enough to have two guidance counselors here. We have a part-time college advisor and a very supportive administration that really supports the initiatives and incentive programs that we'd like to provide for our students to incentivize them to actually get this work completed. We've also had an opportunity to train 2 student college ambassadors, which was really great because our young people are sometimes tired of hearing from us, right? So it was a great opportunity for some of our accomplished seniors who wanted to give back and support the community and who have already completed their college process, paperwork and stuff, to give back to their peers by supporting them in getting some of this work done. So it's been a great opportunity for them to rise to the occasion and also to support their peers. So that was really a gift for us. I would have to say that one of the keys to this work is really getting an early start. The push-ins that we're doing in terms of lesson planning from the guidance perspective is starting in 9th grade. As soon as they walk in, we are working on career interest inventories, doing career exploration, having them share that out. Then we move into 10th grade and we talk about what different majors and colleges would be appropriate for those particular careers. In the 11th grade, we go into more depth of making college lists and understanding how to pay for college, where the financial aid piece comes in, and sort of understanding the difference between grants and scholarships and loans, and what does all of this mean, interest rates and refund checks. So all of this is really a foreign language to them. And so it's really about not waiting until the last minute to start sharing this really pertinent information. And we have also one-on-one meetings with our students twice a year, and that goes starting from 9th grade. So in mid-year, we meet with them, we review their transcripts, and right away, we're taking a look at how their GPAs can impact their post-secondary goals and potential scholarship opportunities. So we are infusing this terminology into every part of conversations that we have with our young people. The second part of this process is really making sure that our young people have access. I'm fortunate enough to have a private guidance suite where we have some computer stands set up, and so students and their families can come in and talk about their documentation, which they are sort of weary about sharing, their immigration status or some of this sensitive information. We can discuss it in private behind closed doors, and they're not feeling super exposed. And we also offer a ton of workshops. We offer a full day workshop. We offer 2 evening workshops. We offer 2 Saturday workshops. We offered 4 virtual workshops, 2 that were in the evenings and 2 that were on weekends. And then we also provide office hours by appointment that can also be after school hours and on weekends to really meet and the accommodations and the needs of our families. There's a lot of different schedules out there, and it's really hard for some of our parents to meet with us during normal business hours. And then after that wave and we were able to get as much accomplished as we could, then we sort of divided and conquered. And amongst the team here, we decided to break down the remaining students who still have not yet completed their documentation and sort of reach out to those students and those families one-on-one and sort of do a little bit more hand-holding to see how we can support them through the process. I also have to say that incentives for our young people is really a big sell here at the school. We've done everything from well, first of all, we started with setting early deadlines so that way we can make sure that even if we were a little bit behind the line, we had gotten a lot done and a lot out of the way in advance. Additionally, we offered things like if you hit the first deadline, you got a couple dollars off of your senior dues. If you hit the second deadline, you were able to get personalized school gear. So that was either a varsity jacket or a cardigan, and the students love that. And then our last deadline, if they got everything done, the students earned entry into a We Got It Done day. And it was a really special day with all the seniors who were on track for graduation and completed all of their college going processes, including FAFSA, were able to join us in the gym for a basketball game, a DJ, and a food truck that pulled up outside. So that was definitely a big highlight. And I think with all of the events that we do, we really try to have the whole school community see what we're doing, so that way everyone can get excited, like, wow, next year that'll be me, or in 2 years that'll be me. So we also do a lot of school-wide events that, like college fairs and rep visits and financial institutions that come to talk about money and resources. And we do that school-wide. So the kids are excited exposed to this information year after year, and it really becomes part of our culture here. We do a lot of push-in class lessons, especially in the senior year, to try to set up the FSA and to try to get information out. So I think it's really wonderful that our entire school community gets to see everything that's happening. We do a really special event for Decision Day, which also involves popping out t-shirts saying I've made a decision, and having a DJ there. And we try to go over the top with everything to really get the kids really excited and to have them buy into the whole process. So and I would just, like to say that, you can't discount relationships, right? So I've been fortunate enough to have a reasonable size caseload. And so I was able to make one-on-one outreach. And I'm also in a position where I follow my students throughout all 4 years. And that allows you to really build a rapport with students and their families. And there's something that you can't take away from that, right? That relationship that you've built with these students and their families over the 4 years builds a trust and a camaraderie that we are working towards the same goals. And we understand some of the challenges they may have experienced over these 4 years and some challenging family dynamics. And that relationship really goes a long way when trying to pinpoint what are some of the obstacles to supporting our families that are hesitant to this process. And so I really just want to advocate that it's just so important to also keep guidance counselor caseloads, to a relative cap. I'd say 200-300 students really allows us the opportunity to have that one-on-one time with our young people to support them through this journey, because there really is so much work to be done and so little time. So with that being said, it's really a pleasure to have a piece and a hand in the work that we get to do every day. And as you can see, with all of the support that we've had and the luxuries of having additional staff and staying with my students all 4 years, we're still at 70%. So, we're fighting this fight every day together. So thank you all for the work that you're doing.
Thank you for the work that you do, Danielle. And it was the swag for me. I bet the kids absolutely love being able to complete their FAFSA and then get swag. All right, so we are going to move to our final speaker, and perhaps this is one of our most important stakeholders in the game. So I am excited to introduce Candace Duncan. Candace Duncan is a senior at the Academy Charter High School in Hempstead, New York, in Long Island. At her school, Candace participates in the senior planning committee, is captain of the basketball team, a member of the lacrosse team, and wait for it, a member of the National Honor Society. She has been recognized as a College Board National African American Recognition Scholar and is on our school's honor roll. She is in the process of clearly making history, but also her college decision right now, and has already been accepted to Boston University, Boston College, and Villanova. It literally brings me to tears. I am so excited for us to all hear more from Candace about her experience completing the financial aid forms, the support she received, and perhaps some lessons she learned along the way that can help inform our policy discussion. Without further ado, Candace.
Hello, everyone. I just want to say thank you for inviting me to participate in this, and I'm excited to share my perspective on the FAFSA and how I got through the process. So coming into the whole financial aid process, I didn't really understand how heavy it was until I actually went through it. And I've always wanted to go to college. I want to be a neurosurgeon, and I want to study neuroscience in college. And the one thing that scared me the most was the cost, because college is not cheap, and I didn't really know the aid system, how to go about aid. And luckily, I go to a school with an amazing college team that helped my family and I navigate the FAFSA and other supporting documents. And we my school implemented one-on-one sessions, and that started in August, where we were introduced to what documents we needed to provide, such as the W-2s, tax forms, and other income-related documents. And that made it easier for my family to fill in the actual FAFSA in October because we already had information filed and laid out. So it wasn't really, we knew about it and we knew what it was. We weren't like in the dark about it. So that made it easier for us to just push through and get it done. My situation was a little bit different because my father, he's disabled. So certain tax forms he did not have, and from those meetings, we were able to secure what we needed. So it wasn't very much a hassle to, you know, scramble to find what he needed. And with the help of my college counselor, we were able to get things done fast. And although my situation was kind of like an easy flowing process, I know that's not the case for many other schools. And I feel like many have to figure out and navigate the FAFSA mainly through learning like what it is. Because I feel like a lot of schools, they don't really emphasize the FAFSA until we get into our final year, which is kind of like we're already going through the college application process, writing essays and doing everything at once. So adding that one thing at that one time, it kind of like gives an extra load, making things more stressful. So like I agree with the fact of introducing that stuff to us early, so we kind of have an idea of what we're walking into instead of being blindsided by everything. And yeah, I'm glad that I was able to complete my FAFSA, and I am excited about my college process and getting things done. And I feel like without the FAFSA, I wouldn't be able to be pursuing my dreams and going to college. And I'm really grateful that I was able to complete it. Thank you.
Candace, I'm glad you were able to complete it too, because we need good neurosurgeons, and I am excited about your dream. So thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck on that college decision. We'll be here if you ever need us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so we have about 4 or 5 minutes for questions. Please use the Q&A function if you have any, and we'll get to as many of them as we have time for. Let's see what's there. I'll give it a couple seconds because there's nothing there right now. All right, well, thank you for joining us this afternoon, and thank you again for the panelists who've joined us. We've learned so much from each of you, and you could see from the many different sort of sectors and stakeholders that they represent that it will take us all. It's absolutely critical for us to do more to support students with FAFSA, particularly as we continue to face the ongoing pandemic. Higher education and lack of access to financial aid should not and cannot become a barrier for students and families. I'm looking forward to continuing the conversation and the work with each of you to equip schools, students, guidance counselors, and families with more and more resources to ensure that we have financial aid for college completion. Before we go, I'd like to quickly highlight our FAFSA challenge, which this year is co-sponsored by HESC. The FAFSA challenge recognizes schools for high FAFSA completion rates overall and for improvements in FAFSA completion rates year over year. This year, we will be awarding 12 scholarships to schools across the state. Each award will consist of $750 to the winning high schools for the purpose of providing a scholarship to one of its students. FAFSA challenge winners will be announced in mid-June this year. Please use our FAFSA data to learn more and track your school's progress. Looks like there's now a question in the Q&A, so we'll get that one really quickly, and then we'll part. And it says, how do we encourage trade-bound students to complete FAFSA? There is FAFSA. There's also TAP that has also been opened up to more and more credentials. And I can't really understand the name, but if you shoot us an email, we will definitely send you some information we're happy to provide. And with that, I bid you a great afternoon and a wonderful weekend. Have a great day, everyone.